Hello everybody, my name is Elliot Newton. I'm the Biodiversity Officer for Kingston Council, and welcome to the next episode of Reading Nature. And these are sessions we run with the Library Service to tell you more about the incredible wildlife and green spaces that we have in and around Kingston. And today we're going to tell you about an incredibly rare species that you can find in our rivers, and it is the critically endangered European eel. But the European eel story doesn't start in Kingston. It actually starts thousands of miles away on the other side of the Atlantic in a sea called the Sargasso Sea. And that Sargasso Sea is the breeding ground or the spawning ground for all European eels. Every European eel in the world is born in the Sargasso Sea. And when they're born in these tiny little flecks that are smaller than your fingernail, and they're called leptocephali. And these leptocephali then drift along Atlantic currents, and they go through a metamorphosis. And the first thing they change into as they're drifting towards Europe is what we call a glass eel. These are eels that are probably about that sort of big, and they're called glass eels because they're almost completely see-through. And then in the summertime, early summer, late spring, we start having these eels migrate into our watercourses across Europe, including Kingston, going up the Thames and into rivers like the Hogsmill. And when they arrive, they're about a year old at this point, and they're what we call elvers. And an elver is about 10 centimetres long, and they have this innate drive to want to swim against the current upstream. And they can live in our rivers for about 30 years, and they can become these large eels called silver eels. And as I say, they can live here for a relatively long time. And in that time, they're eating all sorts of species, like smaller fish and bugs. They can actually, if it's wet grassland around a river, they can actually get out of the stream and go around some wet grassland and then go back into the river. So they have an absolutely fascinating lifestyle. But after about the 30 years or so, the females be like, okay, it's time for me to go and have my own young. So the first thing they do is their stomach dissolves. So their stomach completely dissolves, and the reason it does that is to sort of make more room within its sort of cavity for holding eggs. And the next thing it does, its eyes increase in size by about 4 times. And after it's gone for that incredible change, it will then do that incredible journey all the way across the Atlantic to almost the exact location where it spawned about 30 years ago, and then give birth to its young. So an absolutely incredible creature. But the reason that our eels are critically endangered, there's a number of things, including disease, and a lot of our watercourses, we have these big concrete weirs which they get to and they can't pass. So across Kingston, if you were to see a weir in the river, you might most likely see an eel pass next door to it, which is like these bristly bristles that allow the eel to climb over the weir and continue heading upstream. So really important conservation measures that are helping to save the species. And if you'd like to get involved in monitoring the European eel, you can do that here right in Kingston. And in coordination with Kingston University and the Institute of Zoology at London Zoo, there's a really fantastic programme where you can learn to go down to our eel monitoring station, which is in Knights Park, and we check the traps throughout the summer, looking and measuring the eels to see how many are coming into our rivers. That's a fantastic project. All you need to do is get in touch with Kingston University or the London Zoo, and they'll tell you how to sign up to the project. Fantastic creatures, so hopefully next time you're walking along our rivers, you'll think about these absolutely fascinating creatures that live right here.